Some breaking news now. The European Space Agency has managed to land a robot on a comet, and get this, it's moving. The comet, that is, at 100,000 kilometers an hour. We're going to get some more background now as we go live to Pretoria. RAOUL HODGES represents the South African National Space Agency, standing by to talk to us here on Newsnight. Mr. Hodges, good evening to you. I understand that this robot, or this thing that's landed, is the size of an ordinary fridge, and it's 510 million kilometers away from Earth. Whichever way you look at it, this really is an astonishing feat, isn't it?
Yes, I believe that is incredible for those technical people and the skills, and for the European Space Agency, there must be a wonderful feat.
Explain to us, Mr. Hodges, why we want to land on a comet.
Well, it is believed that a comet seeded the Earth, or comets seeded the Earth many millions of years ago. And comets typically consist of water and hydrogen and nitrogen and oxygen. And those are the components that are needed for life. And that's typically why we would want to investigate those type of things, to understand whether man can one day live out in space, or use a comet, or to that effect.
As we're talking to Mr. Hodges, we're also taking live pictures from the European Space Agency. Given the difficulty of this, I suppose the question has a fairly obvious answer, but why hasn't this been done before?
Technology. We landed on the moon many years ago, and we've done a few missions. We've done Mars Orbiter for India, we've done Mars rover, and now we're heading for comets. So as technology grows, as the skills grow, and you know, this technology is 10 years old, because it was launched in 2004, and it took about 5 to 6 years to build this satellite or probe. So you've got to understand that technology is 15 years old. So the faster the technology grows, the better we get at it, the more we can explore.
Yeah, that technology gap is fascinating, isn't it? What can you tell us about the landing itself? We know that it was defying in many ways the laws of physics. We also know that it was landing in conditions of low gravity.
Yes, I think it is probably very difficult to land there. You must know that when they launched the spacecraft, they did not know what the surface looked like of the comet. And it has only been in the last year that they've been able to map the surface of the comet and to decide where to land. The surface could be landing on the side of it, you could be landing on a bump, you don't know whether it's soft, you don't know whether it's hard, and it has got anchors which it shoots into the comet to anchor itself to the comet. So it's fairly touch and go.
Mr. Hodges, what do we know about Comet 67 PIC? It's called a Churyumov-Gerasimenko. What do we know about this comet?
Not much. The plan was not to land on that comet in the very first stages of design of the satellite or the probe. Furthermore, we know that the comet most probably consists, as I said, of water and nitrogen and hydrogen and oxygen. And that it's orbiting at fairly a high speed, and yeah, and that's about it.
Now, Mr. Hodges, I'm sitting next to my colleague Iman Rapeti, who's seen too many space disaster movies, I think, but she's particularly concerned, she tells me, that landing this probe on the comet could in fact affect its trajectory or its orbit. Do we have anything to worry about in that respect? Iman, listen carefully.
Yeah, I think it's a bit far to worry about that, and she's probably worried that it's on its way to Earth if we land on it and it gets a different trajectory or path. But yeah, it's a bit far, and I'm sure that it will, if it has not landed by now, it will land safely, and that they've done their homework.
All right, that's very kind of you. She's just taken off the hard hat that she put on her head. The mission itself, do you think it's going to pave the way for more comet landings?
I'm convinced that if we get the right answers, and that it will stimulate the scientists and the engineers to go for further such technology feats. And yes, I'm one of those technology geeks and one of those people, and I'd love to see more of this.
This is a European Space Agency initiative. I wonder why the Europeans did it. Why was this not of perhaps a primary concern to NASA?
NASA is busy with some other stuff, and if we all did the same thing, we'd only concentrate on that. So I'm sure they were in discussion, and they discussed what they want to do, and if you do this, we'll do this. So some guys went to Mars, and some people are going to comets. And if we add all that information together at the end of the day, we'd probably be able to live on Mars or live on a comet or something to that effect.
What, if any, interest does the South African Space Agency have? In other words, have you been, how closely will you be following this?
We're watching it quite carefully. We've done similar missions. We did the MOMS mission for India, which was the Mars Orbiter mission. We were involved in the Mars rover mission, and South Africa was involved in a deep impact mission, as well as Clementine, which mapped the moon. We've been fairly active in the space arena for about 50 years. So for us, it's a privilege to watch the technology and sometimes be involved. This time around, the orbit and the launch was not specific so that we could be part of it. But in our hearts, we're part of it because we're all space geeks.
At the end of the day, Mr. Hodges, is it worth the cost, do you think?
I believe so. We're a growing world population, and exploration is one of those things which is necessary. And satellites and space makes it possible for us to manage agriculture, manage where we live, and that type of stuff. So we really have to invest in this type of technology at the end of the day to feed the masses and the population and to go forth.
All right, fascinating stuff. Live in Pretoria for Newsnight. The views there of RAOUL Hodges from the South African Space Agency, giving us his take on this incredible mission.